Google has just released Gemini 3, and it has some major implications for AI and marketing. So today on the channel, I'm going to be covering all the biggest ways that Gemini 3 is impacting AI and marketing, how I think it is changing marketing online forever, the things that you are doing today that you will no longer be able to do. We're going to talk about all of the announcements, what people are saying about it, and get into some really interesting use cases. So let's dive into the video. AI overviews now have 2 billion users every month. Now, Gemini 3 is going to get plugged straight into that, which has massive implications, not just for AI online, but for marketing specifically. If you want to see some of the interesting use cases, you can go over to X, and I saw this one impressive one from Pietro Chirano, who said that he asked Gemini 3 Pro to create a 3D Lego editor, and in one shot, it nailed the UI, complex spatial logic, and all of the functionality, and essentially has this really cool demo where you can choose the different color of Lego that you want, and it generated this entire tool that you can stack Lego on top of each other, change the color, change the size, and the whole thing is 3D. This is all done with Gemini 3's code editor, which is absolutely incredible. The other thing that I think is really interesting is a few of the use cases that Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet, actually outlined. He said, you can give Gemini 3 anything, images, PDFs, scribbles, etc., and it will create whatever you like. An image becomes a board game, a napkin, sketch transformed into a full website, a diagram could turn into an interactive lesson. There's so many use cases, and I think especially when we start thinking about marketing, we can think about landing pages can become hyper-personalized. We can think about when you're trying to build something, you don't need a development team to help you create some of these tools that are really good for lead gen. Gemini is going to remember literally everything, and it can generate a unique landing page for one single visitor based on their history right at the moment they click. We're not going to have these personas in the future. It's just going to be hyper relevance. What are they interested in and what will help move the needle for them? Sundar Pichai said that Gemini 3 advances multimodal reasoning, right? Which multimodal means it can do audio, image, text, and all of the different modalities. It says it does this by combining state-of-the-art reasoning with vision and spatial understanding, so it can analyze your long-form sports videos to give you a performance audit, identify specific technical issues, and provide the exact drills to fix them. I think this is an interesting use case with a sports edit, but if you bring this into a marketing lens, I think there is some really impressive things. For example, and I'm not saying this is the greatest way because I know there's a lot of amazing tools, but you could literally film someone using your app or using your website, and you could go tell them to try to do a task. We have a lot of these like screen recorder tools that will see how long they hover in different areas to give you different bits of information. But without any of those tools, you could just take a raw video of your friend going through your app or your tool or your landing page for the first time, and you could upload it to Gemini 3 and say, analyze where they hover the longest, what they look at the longest, what things seem to be the most eye-catching and where they get confused, and give me a breakdown. Now, the nice thing about this is it can transform one modality of information, like a video, and put it straight into actual text and an action plan for things that you should improve on your website, which is really impressive just from looking at something. It also brings incredible reasoning power to search and new generative UI experiences, get dynamic visual layouts with interactive tools and simulations generated specifically for your question. For example, explaining the physics of the three-body problem. When you're asking it to do that, it's actually able to generate an animation. So it's writing code to create this visualization tool for you. Now, when you start thinking about using this for creating mini apps or other lead generation tools inside your industry, I think this is an incredible use case that a lot of people are going to love. Another thing he is excited about, he says, visual layout moves beyond text with an immersive magazine style view, photos, and modules that you can interact with to further customize your response. You can ask it to plan a 3-day trip to Rome, and you get an explorable itinerary tailored to your preferences. Something that I think we're going to have to start thinking about a lot more inside of marketing on our websites, on our landing pages, when we're creating software or tools to drive people towards our products. We have to stop thinking about marketing just being, SEO on articles and kind of these flat sources of information. We need to actually create immersive, interactive experiences for people, and Google's leading the way here with Gemini 3, but What's also cool is you can take this technology and put it into your current websites and products to have people talk to your product, talk to maybe your article or your landing page, and actually get a more immersive experience out of your tool. How do we create immersive experiences that draw people in, create multimodal UI that people are actually engaging with? If you want to try it, you need to have the Pro plan. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a button that says Thinking. And you can choose your model. There's a fast model. That is not Gemini 3. You need to get the thinking model. So it thinks through complex topics with 3 Pro. Select that, and then it will give you its more thought out models using Gemini 3 in the Gemini app, which is just gemini.google.com. Introducing Gemini Agent. It uses Gemini 3's advanced reasoning to break down complex tasks like booking local services or organizing your inbox into actionable steps. It can then propose actions like drafting your replies or archiving emails, all using deeper integrations with Google Apps, available on the web for Google AI Ultra subscribers in the US. I have personally tested this out today, and I was impressed by what it recommended doing, but what it didn't do is it stopped short of actually writing and sending a lot of emails for me. It gave me examples of things to do and layouts. It stopped short of actually completing a lot of the actions. Where do I think this goes? As marketers, we need to understand that this AI agent is getting built into everything that Google, all of the Google properties. And while today it might not be able to do everything for you, tomorrow or in the next 3 to 6 months, it will be able to fully review your email and write drafts or completely send emails and responses for you for your projects based off of the terms and the prompts that you give it and the direction that you give it. So start thinking about this and start thinking about how you touch and interact with your customers in a way that, let's say they're using an AI agent to look through their emails. What does their AI agent need to see in order to view your email as high importance or high status that they actually want to respond or engage with? Humans may not be looking at their emails for very much longer as these agents start to take over. What a lot of people are talking about is how well Gemini 3 is doing on the benchmarks. There's a famous benchmark, of course, which is the LLM Arena leaderboard. This is where users get 2 blind responses to an AI prompt and pick which one they prefer. We're seeing that this is one of the biggest flexes for these AI models. When they come up with a new model, they want to climb the LM Arena leaderboard because it shows that real people in a blind study prefer their model over another model's responses. It has a breakthrough score of 1501 ELO. It essentially is showing a PhD level reasoning, and it also has top scores on Humanities Last Exam. I know that this seems like a ridiculous name for a benchmark, Humanities Last Exam, but essentially it's very complex problems. Most people could maybe solve 1 out of 60 of these questions because they're very domain specific. If you have a PhD in asphalt, you're going to go and nail the asphalt question, but 99% of people will not. Or you're maybe a genius when it comes to Italian Renaissance art. You'll be able to nail one of those questions. This is an interesting exam that goes very deep on a lot of subjects. Most people cannot do it, and so we call it Humanities Last Exam because when AI is able to nail all of these questions, we'll know that AI is smarter than a PhD and a lot of experts. As far as the marketing updates that I think we're going to have to make online, there are some big ones. Number 1, I think, is the shift from Copilot to Captain. Essentially, Gemini 3 introduces true autonomous agents. You're not just going to ask it to write an email, you'll actually give it a full mission, right? So you can imagine you're saying something like, plan and execute a launch campaign for next week, and it's going to research and create assets and schedules, and then have them go out across all of your apps. So it's not just assisting, it's actually going to be acting for us. This is going to be a huge change. Using the new deep thinking capabilities in Gemini 3, you can upload raw sales data and ask, why is the churn up in Europe? It will pause, it will reason, and then it's going to give you a really strategic defense. This isn't just like a generic blog post from other AI models. From what I've done in testing, it's essentially like having a consultant that's able to go and analyze the data and give you a really useful response and give you some actionable steps. Vibe coding and interactive content. This is really wild. You can now create interactive calculators, quizzes, landing pages, just by describing the style of what you're trying to build. You don't need a development team. If you can dream it or imagine it, Gemini will code it and actually launch it for you. And I think this is a big shift for marketers who are so used to relying on other departments like development to help us build mini apps or tools or lead generation things. We're going to be able to actually do these ourselves. SEO is dead. And I know it's not completely dead, but we're seeing a massive shift right now. Google has said that they're seeing incredible uptick use of their AI models. And I think we're going to start seeing the age of AEO, which is answer engine optimization. Gemini 3 is powering the new Google search, and it doesn't want keywords. It wants facts to build answers. So if your content isn't structured for AI to read and calculate, you're not going to exist to it. And we're going to have to put a really big focus into that. The takeaway, I think, is that the era of prompt engineering is fading and the era of agent engineering has begun. And it's really going to make it so whatever you can creatively dream and think of, you'll be able to execute on. Thank you so much for joining us on the video today, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.